Imagine this. You're 40 years old. Your name is John. You earn $80,000 a year. On paper, that puts you well above average. You did everything right. You went to school. You got a stable job. You avoided reckless decisions. And yet, it's the 18th of the month. You open your banking app. Your balance says $412. Rent is due in 12 days. Your credit card is not paid off. Your savings account hasn't grown in years. And the worst part? You don't feel irresponsible. You feel confused because this doesn't feel like failure. It feels like something is rigged. Today, I want to explain why people like John, and maybe you, feel broke at 40 even with a good income, and what actually changed in the 2026 economy. This is not about budgeting harder. This is about understanding the system you're living in. Let's break down John's life. John earns $80,000 gross. After federal tax, state tax, payroll deductions, health insurance, and retirement contributions, John takes home about $4,800 per month. Now let's look at his normal expenses. Rent, $1,850. Utilities and internet, $280. Car payment and insurance, $520. Gas and transportation, $260. Groceries, $620. Phone, $95. Subscriptions, $85. Health costs not covered by insurance, $180. Credit card minimums, $320. That's $4,210. That leaves John with $590. And that's before car repairs, medical surprises, family emergencies, inflation-adjusted price hikes, job instability, AI-driven layoffs. So when John looks at his account and sees $400 left, it's not because he's reckless. It's because his margin for error has disappeared. Most people think inflation works like this. Prices go up, then they come back down. That is not how inflation works. Even if inflation slows to 3%, prices do not reset. The $1,200 rent from 2020 didn't come back. The $80 grocery run didn't return. The $2.50 gas didn't reappear. This is called the ratchet effect. Prices move up and then lock in place. So John's salary didn't drop, but his purchasing power collapsed. The lifestyle $80,000 used to buy now costs closer to $105,000. That gap is called the affordability gap, and it's why millions of people feel broke without being broke on paper. At 40, John isn't just managing himself. He's in the sandwich generation. Above him, aging parents who may need support. Below him, kids, younger siblings, or dependents. Behind him, student loans, credit cards, mortgages. Ahead of him, retirement that feels dangerously underfunded. John is carrying 3 timelines at once. And here's the scary part. Most 40-year-olds have less than 3 months of expenses saved. That means one job disruption, one AI automation, one corporate restructuring, and everything collapses. This is not laziness. This is fragility built into the modern economy. John budgets. He tracks his expenses. He cuts where he can. But budgeting assumes prices are stable. They are not. A static budget in an inflationary economy is like using last year's map for this year's terrain. You're not failing to save. Your money is decaying silently. Cash sitting still is losing value every single day. This is why saving alone no longer works. Here's the mental shift John has to make. The goal is no longer saving money. The goal is preventing money from rotting. That means emergency funds must earn interest. Idle cash must fight inflation. Money must work even while you sleep. For John, that means moving emergency savings into high-yield savings, inflation-protected instruments, or similar tools that at least reduce decay. Not to get rich, but to stop bleeding silently. Now let's talk about the part banks never explain. John pays his credit card on the due date. He thinks he's responsible, but interest is not calculated on the due date. It's calculated on the average daily balance. So if John waits until the 25th to pay, the bank has already calculated interest on a high balance for nearly 30 days. This is the trap, the loophole. Split payments. Instead of one payment, half around the 10th, half around the 20th. This lowers John's average balance mid-cycle. The result? A less interest, lower utilization, faster credit score improvement, more control. Banks rely on timing ignorance. Once you understand timing, you stop leaking money. John doesn't need motivation. He needs structure. The smartest people in 2026 are building something called a career pivot fund. Not just emergency money, but transition money. Enough to survive, skill retraining, industry shifts, job gaps, economic shocks. This fund buys time, and time is the most valuable asset left. If you feel broke at 40, it's not because you failed. It's because the rules changed quietly. Inflation didn't just raise prices, it erased margins. Banks didn't just charge interest, they optimized confusion. Jobs didn't disappear, they evolved faster than paychecks. This channel exists to translate the system. If this video helped you understand what's actually happening, subscribe. Because next, we're breaking down why good salaries no longer mean safety, how cash quietly dies, and how to rebuild stability without gambling. You're not behind. You were just never shown the full map.